So this is the story of Oedipus the King. It is the first in a trilogy that concludes with Antigone, the play we are going to read. So the story starts, so here's the story, we'll start it here. The story starts with a town called Thebes. Thebes has a king named King Laius, who is married to the queen, Queen Jocasta. One day, while King Laius is out traveling, he is killed, and everyone is sad. Not too long after that, who should show up into town but a man named Oedipus, who was well known because he's the only person to have done what? Answered the Sphinx's riddle. Good. So Oedipus shows up, he's super famous, and it's not long before he himself is crowned king and marries Jocasta, the former queen. Nice. They have 4 kids. Thebes, however, is kind of going, right now there's some problems going on in Thebes. Thebes is kind of a cursed place. Crops aren't doing well, animals are dying, women are dying in childbirth, children are being stillborn, which means that they're born and they're not breathing. So Thebes is not a great place. So these priests show up and they say to Oedipus, help us. You solved the Sphinx's riddle, please do something. And Oedipus is all like, I got this. What happened was he sent his brother-in-law, Creon, to the... Oh, that's a weird arrow. To the oracle at Delphi. Creon returns and says, listen, I got the answer. Here's what we got to do. We got to find out who killed King Laius. The good news is they're still in Thebes. If we do that, the curse will be broken. At that point, Oedipus says, okay, cool. And he calls for a blind prophet to come named Tiresias. Tiresias is here. Oedipus asks, hey, can you see anything that will help us figure out who killed Laius? And Tiresias says, yes. And Oedipus says, great, tell me. And Tiresias says, no. At which point, Oedipus gets angry and accuses Tiresias and Creon of plotting against him to take the throne, yada, 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 normal king problems. At which point, Jocasta comes in and says, listen, sweetheart, chill. Prophecies are no big deal. In fact, there was a prophecy told about me that King Laius and I would have a son who would grow up to kill him and marry me. And I had my son killed, so it's not a big deal. We avoided the prophecy. And so, at that point, Oedipus says, how did King Laius die again? And she's like, he was killed at a triple crossroads. They were traveling one direction, another traveler was traveling another direction. They wouldn't get out of each other's ways. Fight ensued. King Laius was killed. And Oedipus is like, huh, that's funny. That's around the same time that I killed somebody at a crossroads. So at this point, Oedipus is wondering, is a little uneasy here. But from Oedipus's hometown, where he grew up with his mom and dad, in the town of Corinth, a messenger arrives with a letter. The letter bears bad news. Bad news, Oedipus. Your dad, he died. And Oedipus is like, okay, cool, that's not great. And the messenger's like, oh, you're going to go home for the funeral? And he's like, no. And they say, well, why not? And he says, well, actually, the reason I left Corinth was because there was a prophecy that I would kill my dad and marry my mom. And while my dad is dead and that's great, I'm not going back there and risking to marry my mom. At which point the messenger's like, hey, good news, bro. You're adopted. And so Oedipus is like, wait, what? He is very confused. And the messenger says, yeah, no, listen, a shepherd brought you to me when you were a baby. He found you in the mountains outside Thebes, and I brought you then to your mom and dad in Corinth who adopted you. And at this point, Jocasta's like, let's stop worrying about prophecy. And she leaves. Because Oedipus is like, no, I need to find this out. So he asked the shepherd to come in. And the shepherd at first doesn't want to say anything, but eventually does admit that, yep, he was given the baby to kill, but he refused to and took the baby instead to Corinth. So what happened was Jocasta is found hanged in her room. She has hung herself. Because she has realized that Oedipus is her son. And Oedipus realizes this, that he has followed the prophecy, and he gouges his own eyes out. And then asks Creon and says, hey, I need you to take over Thebes and I need you to banish me because I've done some awful things. So at that point, Creon, who wanted power anyways, was all like, okay, cool. And so he takes power and kicks Oedipus out. And that's the end of Oedipus the king.